This is News 3 at 6.
Just into our newsroom, the Middleton Police Department has identified its officers who fired shots during the workplace shooting in Middleton. Officer
Richard O'Connor and Tyler Lowther fired shots at Anthony Tong, the man police say was shooting his coworkers at WTS Paradigm in Middleton. Officer O'Connor has been with the department since 1998, Lowther since 2012. We are still waiting to learn the identities of two Dane County deputies who also shot Tong. All four officers were interviewed today, as is standard protocol in any officer-involved shooting. Investigators also hope to clear the crime scene sometime next week. The Middleton office complex that houses WTS Paradigm is still closed at this hour. Police say Tong was able to shoot four coworkers before police arrived. Police documents indicate that one of those victims was shot 10 times. UW Hospital released an update on the three victims that remain in the hospital. Staff say two are in good condition. The third remains in fair condition. A fourth person injured in the shooting was released from St. Mary's Hospital earlier this week.
WTS Paradigm released a statement today saying its employees will find strength to move forward. Company leaders also said that Tong was an employee in good standing, and they are shocked and saddened by this senseless act. We have live team coverage tonight of the Middleton shooting, and we start with Keely Arthur, who is live from outside Anthony Tong's home on Madison's far west side. Keely?
We are learning more about Middleton shooter Anthony Tong tonight, including what was inside his home here, also details of his past, some of it here very disturbing in these court documents.
The autopsy indicated that Tong died from firearm-related trauma.
48 hours after being taken down by police, we are learning more about Anthony Tong, the Madison man who opened fire on his WTS Paradigm coworkers Wednesday.
As of now, a motive has not been determined.
A search warrant obtained today by News 3 shows police confiscated hundreds of rounds of ammunition, computers, several gun parts, and a gun building kit inside Tong's Madison home. Many wondering now where he got it all from and how, without a gun license, Tong got his hands on the weapon he used Wednesday.
Tong had his concealed carry permit revoked.
A judge deemed Tong mentally unfit to carry a gun in 2004, following a welfare check at Tong's then home in Sioux Falls, South Dakota. According to court documents, when officers arrived at the apartment, Tong is described as acting, quote, very odd. Police then discovered more than 1,000 rounds of ammunition, along with an AR-15 rifle. And in one of the most chilling details, police say they asked Tong if he wanted to hurt himself. He refused to answer that and then said, quote, there were people talking bad about me at work, a statement made more than 14 years prior.
But it absolutely seems as though with some loophole, he was able to get in contact and get possession of that firearm, and he should not have been able to do that.
A motive tonight still unclear. The FBI has interviewed Tong's family. Investigators also working to interview all those WTS Paradigm coworkers, trying to figure out why he would do something like this. Back to you.
Keely, thank you.
And in light of the new information tonight about Tong's background, our Rose Schmidt talked to mental health experts and tells us what you should know. Rose?
Eric, Middleton Police Chief Chuck Folk, you just heard, says you can't assume that everyone who has a mental health issue will become an active shooter. And mental health experts agree, saying they don't want to speculate on what caused the shooting this week. Shootings around the country and closer to home often leave us with more questions than answers.
Our feeling is, of course, if somebody is dangerous, whether they have a mental illness or not, we want to make sure they are safe and others are safe.
We've learned that Anthony Tong suffered mental health issues in 2004. Tong shot 4 of his coworkers at WTS Paradigm in Middleton, but whether mental health played a role this week, 14 years later, is unknown.
And we must use caution in trying to jump to conclusions that this is a mental health-related shooting incident.
Evidence shows shooters are often portrayed as loners, suffering from mental health issues. But experts say that's not always true.
Mental illness is not a factor in most firearm deaths that are homicides. They certainly are with regard to suicide.
In 2004, police in South Dakota say when they asked Tong if he wanted to hurt himself, he refused to answer. After that incident, a court order prevented him from legally buying firearms.
If he wasn't supposed to have a gun, for whatever reason, I think the bigger question is how did he manage to have one, and what can we be doing about that?
Shell says it's about preventing access from getting guns for people who show signs of dangerousness to themselves or others, regardless of whether they have mental health issues.
The vast majority of people who have a mental illness do not pose any more danger than anybody else in the population, and many tend to be more likely to be victims of violence than perpetrators.
And in trying to learn from this situation, both Shell and Middleton police say we can't and shouldn't jump to conclusions about whether mental health was a factor. Officers say Tong likely got his gun through some sort of a loophole. And with that in mind, Shell told me laws saying certain people can't have firearms don't do any good if there are loopholes in the way people get access to them. And loopholes in purchasing guns need to be closed.
Rose Schmidt joining us in studio tonight. Rose, thank you.
Police and mental health agencies are reaching out to people who witnessed the situation firsthand. Middleton police want everyone affected to know they are not alone. There is a special victim resource center through the Wisconsin Department of Justice. It helps victims, witnesses, and their family members find emotional, physical, and financial support. Area mental health centers like Journey also provide services to people after events like shootings. They offer classes and counseling to people in need of self-help, support, and reassurance.
And it is really important to talk about this with people. Talk to professionals, talk to your family members. Keeping it bottled up inside is has long-term harm. So we're really encouraging people to reach out.
Officials stress mental health services are meant for everyone and are especially important even if you are not struggling immediately after a tragedy. People who witness something like a shooting have an increased chance of developing mental illnesses ranging from anxiety and depression to substance abuse and eating disorders.
There are also trauma specialists available to talk to victims, witnesses, and anyone impacted by the shooting. For help, you can call one of these numbers listed on your screen. You can also find them on our website, channel3000.com. As always, any updates relating to this shooting will be shared online at channel3000.com as well as tonight on News 3 at 10.
Federal immigration officers make several arrests in Madison today.
A move leaving Madison city leaders upset and frustrated. You'll hear their concerns next at 6. 6 people in the Madison area have been detained by federal immigration officers.
Now Madison city leaders are voicing their concerns and frustrations with how the cases were handled. Adam Duxter is live from outside Centro Hispano with the latest. Adam?
Eric and Charlotte, there are still a lot of questions to be answered tonight, but city officials learning today that 6 people have been arrested by federal ICE officials in the Madison area. Now, it's not clear what these people were detained for, but what we know right now is these arrests are considered to be targeted, not considered to be part of a raid. Madison Police Chief Mike Koval today saying normal procedure of notifying local authorities of the arrest was not followed by the ICE officials in this case. Chief Koval says this goes against years of protocol, and the city's police department was never directly contacted.
Since this is relatively a departure from what we've seen historically, and it's one that I hope that we can reconcile working through their chain of command in the future.
Koval says he doesn't know where those who have been detained are, where those who have been arrested are being detained tonight, and city officials have provided a phone number to call for people who are encountering ICE and have questions about legal defense. That number should be on our screen, but the number is 608-242-6260.
Adam Duxter reporting for us tonight. Adam, thank you.
A Sun Prairie woman was arrested on 2 drunk driving charges in the same night by the same deputy. 35-year-old Shannon McCann was arrested for OWI around 12:30 Friday morning, Blooming Grove. It was her first offense. She was released to a responsible party. And then the same deputy who did that stop noticed her driving again. It was 2 hours later, pulled her over again. McCann was taken to the Dane County Jail and was still testing at more than twice the legal limit, according to police, and cited for another OWI. We are learning more about a shooting on a Madison Metro bus hauling students from La Follette High School.
And we have police car video showing a woman running for the state assembly being stopped by police while campaigning.
In weather, tomorrow's the first day of fall, but I think the weather has jumped the gun a little bit. It's going to be pretty chilly tonight. I'll have your first alert forecast in just a few minutes.
Students at Lakeview Elementary School found a BB gun this morning in the forest on school property. According to a letter sent to parents, the principal says when students discovered the weapon, they were sent inside, and the district security and Madison police were called. The school was not placed on lockdown. Madison school officials confirmed that a gun was on La Follette High School grounds on Wednesday. The 15-year-old who allegedly had that gun will likely now be expelled. Our Amanda Quintana joins us with the very latest on this incident. Amanda?
Yes, well, those district officials are confirming the 15-year-old who had the gun was on school grounds for a period of time at the end of the day on Wednesday, and that he was let into the school through a side door by another student, and that was against protocol. You may remember that La Follette Senate Middle School and Monona Grove High School were all locked down on Wednesday evening after the shot was fired on a Madison Metro bus. A group of students were allegedly handling the gun when one of them accidentally shot another student on the bus who happened to be their friend. According to MMSD Safety and Security Coordinator Joe Ballas, while this case is still being investigated, students who have received weapons-related charges receive individualized plans, which could include daily searches. But they're asking parents to have the conversations with their kids about sharing safety information, so if they see something, to tell staff.
You can put metal detectors up at every door and staff them, but quite honestly, you're still, if a student wants to get a weapon into a building, they're going to do it.
The letter to parents also says the school is taking follow-up actions with the student who opened the door and are reinforcing expectations and safety procedures with students and staff. District officials also noted that they are adding additional cameras, door monitoring, and locking systems in the school this year. Joe Ballas says, as for the student who was shot, it looks like he's going to be okay.
All right, Amanda Quintana reporting. Amanda, thank you.
We now have police video of a stop that has the first African-American from Dane County set to join the Wisconsin Assembly speaking out. Sheila Stubbs is heading into the November election unopposed as the Democratic pick for Wisconsin's 77th district. You can see her being stopped by police last month as she was going door to door campaigning in a West Side neighborhood with her mom and daughter in the car. Well, according to a police report, an officer was dispatched after a tip from a caller believing those in the car were waiting for drugs.
And I just felt humiliated. I felt so belittled. I felt so embarrassed. I felt so ashamed.
Stubbs explained she was campaigning and the officer apologized. Chief Mike Koval says the officer responded to the call that came from the 911 center as she was trained. And while the department is unable to vet calls like that for potential bias, but he urges people to make sure their calls are based on objective facts. A new male polar bear is now calling the Henry Vilas Zoo home. Nunique is 22 months old. He is the son of Nanook, a polar bear who lived at the zoo for 2 decades. Nunique comes from Columbus, and no word on his public debut.
And we take a look at the first day of fall, which arrives tomorrow. Chief Meteorologist Gary Canolti in the backyard patio, and already feeling that cool down, Gary.
Yeah, Mother Nature is providing the fall-like weather already today, about a day early, but it'll stay chilly for much of the next week. Let's start out by taking a look, first of all, at the first day of autumn. Officially, it rolls in at 8:54 tomorrow evening. Normal high temperature for the first day of fall, 69. The normal low is 47. I think we're going to be below those numbers, probably around 40 early tomorrow morning, and in the middle 60s, about 66 for high temperature for tomorrow. After that, we'll see a couple of days in the 70s for Sunday and Monday, and then temperatures drop back into the upper 60s Tuesday and Wednesday. That's pretty close to average. Then start falling below average as we head toward Thursday and Friday with high temperatures in the lower 60s, and by the following weekend, high temperatures may only be around 60. And the 8 to 14 day temperature outlook from the Climate Prediction Center through the first few days of October is calling for about a 60% chance of below normal temperatures here and about a 40 to 45% chance of above normal precipitation. Live view from the Queen Bee Radio Skycam in Platteville, still pretty cloudy there. No rain falling from those clouds. The WISC Skycam showing just a few breaks in the clouds on the eastern horizon, but those clouds will dissipate pretty quickly once we get get past sunset. The Edgewater sky cam in downtown Madison looks pretty ominous, but again, those clouds are not bringing any rain. High temperature, 80 degrees. I'll forgive you if you don't remember when that happened. It was early this morning. Then the cold front came through with some showers and thunderstorms. 58 the low temperature, and that's where we are right now. Winds out of the north-northwest at 15 miles per hour, adding a little more of a chill to the air. Dew point temperatures in the mid-40s, and the air is drying out. The winds are lightening up over northwestern Wisconsin, where skies have cleared out, but still are in the 10 to 20 mile per hour range through much of southern Wisconsin. There were some wind gusts in the 40 to 50 mile per hour range earlier today. 54 mile per hour wind gusts as that line of thunderstorms went through Green Bay early this morning. Look at the temperatures, only around 50 in Rhinelander, 50s through much of the state with the exception of Milwaukee. They're still at 64 degrees, but dew point temperatures continue to fall as well. They're in the middle 40s here and in the upper 30s over northwestern Wisconsin, and as that drier works southward, we'll see the potential for some frost. So frost advisories in effect tonight for much of central and northern Wisconsin. On weather track, the jet stream winds are basically from southwest to northeast around a big area of high pressure just off the east coast. That's keeping the east coast clear, allowing them to dry out after Hurricane Florence. But eventually that cold front that came through here last night will push out to the east coast, bringing some showers and thunderstorms there. Here in the Midwest, now it's the cooler air that's sweeping in behind a pair of cold fronts. Ahead of the first cold front, temperatures are in the 80s. Behind the second front, they're in the 50s, and those dew point temperatures are also pretty low, especially across the Dakotas and northern Minnesota. Those dew points in the upper 30s to around 40 degrees. So that will lead to clear skies overnight, but much cooler temperatures. We'll see plenty of sunshine for tomorrow and Sunday, but temperatures on the chilly side. 40 for the overnight low temperature. The skies turn mostly clear overnight, so much cooler than last night. 66 for high tomorrow under mostly sunny skies. On future track, you can see how those skies clear out pretty quickly after sunset, down to about 40 in Madison, but upper 30s north and west of town. High temperatures tomorrow in the middle 60s. For tomorrow night, look for low temperatures to be in the lower 40s, and then high temperatures will be in the upper 60s to around 70 on Sunday. 7 to 10 day forecast, those temperatures in the 70s to start the week, but by the end of the week and next weekend down to around 60.
Well, Packers tight end Jimmy Graham almost became a Badger, but he didn't, thanks to a lesson in physics. That story next in sports. Well, it's another week of a tight race in the Big 8 for our Prep Mania Game of the Week. Jay Wilson joins us along with Bill Brophy and Alan Minert from Sun Prairie, where the Cardinals are hosting La Follette tonight. Good evening, gentlemen.
Hi there, Melissa, and good evening, everyone. A crisp 57 degrees with a wind blowing, so the mosquitoes, not a problem tonight. Got a good Big 8 conference matchup between Madison, La Follette, 3-2, and Sun Prairie, 4-1. Alan Minert, Bill Brophy joining us, and Brof, breaking news. Tell the world one of our key players won't play tonight.
Well, Follette's top running back, Kavian James Ragland, who was second-team All-City a year ago. Good linebacker, too. He won't play tonight. He's on the shelf, so they come in here really with an uphill battle against the Sun Prairie team that we've seen improve throughout the course of the year. We had them opening night, and they got beat by Memorial. Didn't look at all like the team that lost to Kimberly in the state championship last year at Camp Randall, but they've got a lot better the last 3 weeks, and they're very much in the race in the Big 8, a game behind league-leading Memorial. Tonight, Sun Prairie wins. They're in the playoffs. Well, Follette has playoff aspirations as well, but they'll get a tough go against the Sun Prairie team that's got a lot of weapons. Rich Gillis is good at quarterback. Cooper Nelson's probably the best wide receiver in the area. We saw last week that Nathan Schauer can run behind an improving Sun Prairie line.
Yeah, and Alan, we talk so much about winning the Big 8 conference, and you know there's a pretty big glob at the top, but there's a little bit more on the line even if you don't win the conference, right?
Exactly. You would expect pretty much all teams 4 and 5 in the Big 8 and better typically get in the playoffs. So there's the seeding for the playoffs, but also the groupings that the WIAA would put them in. So if there's multiple Big 8 champions, maybe they split one out and send them to a different area, and all of that factors in. If you can get a win against one of the big dogs, that also helps your seeding.
Yeah, and that certainly would help La Follette tonight in that's for sure. Okay, Madison, La Follette at Sun Prairie, 7 o'clock, TVW, channel3000.com. We hope you'll join us. Now back to the studio and Melissa.
All right, thanks so much, Jay. Well, 3 of the last 4 Big Ten West titles belong to Wisconsin. The other one went to Iowa, who took the crown briefly in 2015. The Hawkeyes had to go through Madison to get it. They know that's the deal, and they know that's not the only trophy they want to keep in Iowa City. Well, if you didn't know, Packers tight end Jimmy Graham was actually a standout in basketball. Played college hoops at Miami, as well as a season of football while he was a grad student there. Now, Badgers head coach Greg Gard remembers trying to recruit him to come to Wisconsin, but apparently the North Carolina native isn't really a fan of winter.
I almost ended up in Madison, that's for sure. Pretty wild, yeah. I remember, seeing all the pictures of it in the summer and how gorgeous it was, and they're rattling off all these stats, and then I saw a picture of it in the winters. I didn't know lakes froze, so.
So water freezes in the winter.
Yeah.
It's a thing, apparently.
He chose Miami.
Yep.
And the rest is history. Thank you very much, Melissa. We do have some breaking news. Breaking moments ago, Dane County Sheriff's Office has released the names of the deputies involved in the workplace shooting at WTS Paradigm Wednesday. Deputy David Lambrecht has been with the Sheriff's Office for 21 years. Deputy Matthew Earl for 11 years. We'll have more on this developing story tonight on News 3 at 10.